Mr. Lewison.
Sir, COVID-19 was a trying time. We pulled through together as a nation. A silver lining of this difficult period is that it shone the spotlight on the invisible in our community. One such group is our low-wage migrant workers. COVID-19 highlighted their plight. These were very difficult times. I received desperate messages from workers confined in their dormitories, photos of poor living conditions and photos of poor quality of food. But COVID-19 also showed how the community came together to help our migrant friends and to address many of these problems that existed for many years. I thank the many NGOs, activists, citizens, and government agencies who worked tirelessly through COVID-19 to help our migrant friends. During the pandemic, we made great strides in improving dormitory conditions and enforcing electronic payments of salaries. The government and the MOM has worked very hard to make these changes a reality with the support from civil society. The pandemic showed us that many things which we previously thought were impossible could, in fact, be done with willpower and collaboration between government and civil society. The pandemic has passed, but many of the problems that our migrant workers face will not. I want to celebrate our wins in my speech today in improving dormitory conditions, enforcing electronic payment, and partnership between the government and civil society. But I also hope that we do not take this progress for granted. The pandemic was a painful lesson that the fight for good living conditions and electronic payments are not just issues that are good for our migrant workers. They're also good for the government, for employers, and for public health. These were painful lessons to learn. I hope we do not unlearn these lessons and use the momentum from COVID-19 to continue our fight for a more inclusive and fairer Singapore for our migrant workers. The first win I hope to celebrate is the progress that we have made in improving dormitory conditions. I first spoke up in 2017 about the living conditions of migrant workers. Our migrant friends leave their homes to build and clean ours. The least we can do is give them proper homes in Singapore while they are here. Before COVID-19, there were an average of 12 to 16 residents per room. Their beds, which were usually double-decker, could be cramped together without any minimum spacing between beds. Each resident usually had less than 3.5 square meters of living space. Sleeping spaces and communal facilities for cooking, dining, and laundry did not have to be separated. Up to 15 residents could share one set of common toilets. Imagine being confined in this space with nowhere to go for months. I'm glad that this has now changed for some workers. After a comprehensive review of existing dormitory standards, we have now improved standards for new dormitories. Our new standards include a maximum of 12 residents in a room, ensuite toilets, no more than 6 residents to one toilet, adequate fans, more spacious room, adequate space between beds, and even in-room Wi-Fi. I thank MOM for engaging with employers, dormitory operators, migrant workers, NGOs, and architects in preparing these standards. I'm also glad that our Foreign Employees Dormitory Act has been extended from larger dormitories with 1,000 or more workers to smaller dormitories with 7 beds or more. These are improvements that civil society has been calling for. Today, they are a reality, but only for some workers. While new dormitories after September 2021 must comply with the new dormitory standards, existing dormitories or those before September 2021 can operate based on past standards. We reviewed dormitory conditions and decided 3.5 square meters per person and 15 residents to a common toilet is unacceptable. We cannot say these standards are unacceptable for some, but continue to live with these standards for others. I understand that MOM is looking into how existing infrastructure can be converted to meet the updated standards. I hope we can set a concrete timeline for all dormitories to meet these minimum standards. Again, I hope it does not take another pandemic for living conditions to further improve. The second win is increased enforcement of electronic payment of salaries. Electronic payment protects low-wage migrant workers against underpayment or illegal kickbacks by creating a paper trail. I first spoke up in 2016 for electronic payment for work permit holders. At that point of time, MOM's response was that electronic payments could not be made mandatory. This was because of difficulties in maintaining minimum bank balances, and SMEs also face operational challenges and cost. We were stuck at only about 2/3 of all workers receiving salaries electronically for years. When COVID-19 struck, electronic payment was made mandatory for workers in dormitories because employers had no other way of assessing workers who were in lockdown. By January 2021, 97% of all employers were paying salaries electronically. It took a pandemic for us to achieve the last mile in electronic payment for workers in dormitories. While we celebrate this win, let's not forget that we are only talking about workers in dormitories. What about other workers not living in dormitories? MOM has said that electronic payments help prevent salary disputes as there are digital records for each transaction. This benefit applies to workers whether or not they live in dormitories. We have proven that it is possible for virtually all workers living in dormitories to be electronically paid. We once thought this to be impossible. Let's go the further step and mandate electronic payments for all work permit holders. Lastly, the final win that I hope to celebrate is the strong partnership that we have forged between government and civil society through this pandemic. Many NGOs and ground-up initiatives sprung up to support our workers on all fronts. Civil society truly stepped up to provide materials such as masks, sanitizers, daily necessities, food, to less tangible but no less important needs such as mental wellness helplines and other initiatives to provide emotional and psychological support. Regular sharing sessions between government and NGOs ensured that we could work in tandem towards the common goal of improving conditions for our migrant workers. In times of need, we saw how the government and civil society can work as one and complement each other's efforts. It was a win-win partnership and can continue to be. As our work for migrant workers continue beyond COVID-19, so should this partnership. I hope we maintain the channels of communication and continue the collaboration between government and civil society for our migrant workers. In fact, for all other issues as well. So the progress that we achieved over COVID-19 did not happen overnight. These were issues that civil society has called for many years. I hope these efforts continue and we don't wait for another pandemic to further improve living conditions and force electronic payment for all workers and sustain partnership with civil society. I also hope that we ride on the momentum of progress we have made and continue to improve conditions for our migrant friends. Another pandemic is too high a price for us to pay to learn the lessons again. Let me end with a quote I've used in many speeches to remind all of us in this house that, quote, "There is no us or them, only us, one human family connected in ways we sometimes forget." Thank you.